All right, hello Guild Wars 2 gamers, Muckluck here, and we got a new episode of I Tried because they made a lot of changes to the game. One of the biggest changes they did was to the Necromancer staff and the Transfusion skill, which was a skill that was a big part of the support Scourge for many years, and also very problematic to balance around, and this is their words, not mine, and it would be something that caused them a lot of issues. Now, what they did to the trait, what it used to do, just so everybody is on the same page, is it would pulse and pull downstate teammates to you if they were within a certain range, and then start doing some minor reviving on them. And then if you joined in, they would revive very, very rapidly. So Necromancers with that skill were very good at saving you from the brink of death, which I thought was an awesome thing. It was a very niche role. They were great at doing barriers, shields on you. They were great at saving you from the brink of death, but not good at healing and not good at boons. Since then, they have become great at boons, great at healing, great at barriers, and then they were still some of the best revivers in the game. Additionally, Transfusion also pulsed out healing from you, and it looked like globules of red, like blood was coming out from you and going to other people, which kind of goes in line with the theme Transfusion, like you're sending some of your health to your teammates. However, they have changed it, and they've taken away the pulse downstates to you, which I think is a shame. I wish they hadn't done that. And they have taken away the pulse healing, which was extremely powerful, and it was very in line with the name of the skill. Now, the skill completely overhauls the staff weapon, which is my favorite Necromancer weapon, but no need to go into that. So what does the new one do, and is it any good? That's what I'm here to try right now. So what does the new Transfusion do? Marks can be triggered by allies to heal them and provide them with additional benefits. Create chill blades at your location when you use your 4th Shroud skill. So let's do this from the top. So first off, even if you don't have Transfusion, Mark 2, which is Mark of Blood, the one that gives regen, will trigger on allies, okay? That, I think, is a good change, because sometimes you just want, it's only a 4-second cooldown, and sometimes you just want the regen. So that is always there. Now, with Transfusion, all the marks heal allies. So there's the 2, there's the 3, there's the 4, and there's the 5. Now, what do they do? The 2, as mentioned, gives you regen to your team, and also vigor with the trait, and it heals for about 1k. The 3, Chillblains, gives prot to your team, also heals for 3k baseline. This is a sizable heal for a 12-second cooldown. Additionally, every time you use F4, it triggers another Chillblains. You can see the gaseous poison cloud, and prot is there again. For whatever reason, the healing numbers of them are not quite the same. One's like 10% higher than the other. That's probably a bug, but that is how it is right now. So if you're in a group and you're supporting a group of people, you're probably going to be hitting the 2 and the 3 every time they come up. Just every time they come up. The 4 heals for about 1k on the team, and it also cures a bunch of conditions on the whole team. Also, it does what it originally did, which was take all conditions on you and sends them to your enemies. Sorry, I said all 3. It takes 3 conditions on you, sends them to your enemies. And so you just drop that on yourself. I would imagine this is a use as needed, but it does heal for like 1k on the team, and also does a lot of condition removal. The 5 is stability on demand. I'm currently in Sully gear. It is 6 seconds of stability, 3 stacks of it on an 18-second cooldown. That is incredibly good. Also, it is still the CC skill it was. It is still a powerful CC tool, and it does damage, and because it's a mark, it heals. Now, if you do this, boop, lots of stability. Also, something that Noxxi noticed and pointed out to me, this says 8.5 seconds of stability. This says 6.5 seconds of stability. There is something wrong with the tooltip of stability here, or the tooltip of stability here is wrong. They don't match up. However, that is a thing. So that is, that is not lined up. Okay, moving on. So that is what the new marks do. Transfusion no longer pulls downstate bodies. We did not get anything really in return for that. It also no longer does the pulse healing, and in trade for that, all your marks do giga healing now. And remember, Mark of Blood is only on like a 4 and change second cooldown, so you are throwing Mark of Blood and refreshing regen and vigor and doing damage and healing constantly. The 3, as well as when you use the F4, which triggers 3 again, are huge heals on teammates and also refreshes prot. Honestly, you didn't really need it. You already had 100% uptime on prot if you were using Sandstorm Shroud, but if you were using staff on anything other than a support Scourge, then that would be prot that you might not have otherwise had covered. 4 is Condi Cleanse. Again, on Scourge, Scourge has really ample Condi Cleanse with F2, but this is more. And then 5, good CC and stability. Now, there is an issue. Support Scourge used to use a main hand weapon, and you had a lot to choose from, and then offhand Torch, and you would weapon swap to offhand Warhorn. The Warhorn gave you swiftness, the Torch helped keep your might uptime. You have to give one of those up in order to equip the staff. I did attempts with both, and my findings were that if I didn't have the Torch and I took the Warhorn, so that meant plus stability minus might stacks, I could not keep a good amount of might up. I was bouncing between 10 and 25. Some of that could have been skill issue, but I really struggled with it is the bottom line. With the Torch plus staff combo, might was staying between 23 to 25, so near perfect, and I lost swiftness. So I opted to go with pistol plus Torch plus staff. And then I got the swiftness from the Relic of Phoebe. So Relic of Phoebe keeps swiftness on your party by using your heal skill. Now, you could just get the swiftness from someone else, or you could use the Warhorn, give up the Torch, and tell other people to cover the might, and then you don't have to waste your Well of Blood on cooldown. But what I did today, what I tested today, was I used Well of Blood on cooldown in order to keep swiftness up, and it was just more healing on the group. I used Desiccate on cooldown to help keep might up and keep Fury on the group. I was getting regen and Vigor from Mark of Blood. We were getting Prot from Chillblains plus Sandstorm Shroud, and we were getting Alacrity and Might from the barriers from Scourge shields, and also we were getting more Might from Torch 5 and Desiccate. Now, utility skills, I honestly feel like there's 4 good utility skills and you gotta pick 3 of them. And in my opinion, it is Serpent Siphon, which gives you Aegis on demand, Desiccate, which gives you the Fury and Might uptime, Trail of Anguish, which is a stability on demand, and keep in mind they changed this some patches ago. It used to be just stability if people touched the sand, but now it's stability all around you. You notice the Golem has it right now. So it's 1 pulse of stability all around you, really good for if you need to give your group stability and you are not in staff. This is 3 stacks of stab on an 18-second cooldown is incredibly good, but you're only in staff 50% of the time. And again, maybe someone will discover a better way to do this. The best way I found today is essentially swapping every single time weapon swap was up. On the weapon plus torch weapon set, I was prioritizing Torch 5 and then literally anything else. So just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On staff, I was hitting 2 and 3 every time they were up and using 4 and 5 as needed. I was essentially using all of this every time it lit up. I did some of my strike missions today as Giver's Gear, maxing out on boon duration just to make sure those boons were covered on the party. And then I was like, this is way overkill. So I changed to Celestial Gear in the middle, and I was doing Celestial for the second half of the strikes, including the toughest one, which is Bone Skinner. And I say toughest not mechanically, but simply toughest as in it has the biggest healing demand. Bone Skinner's aura, because the community does it in the wrong way. There's this whole thing where you're supposed to light the torches to reduce the damage, and literally nobody does that. We just unga bunga through it. The way the community does the Bone Skinner results in the group taking more damage than almost any raid boss. And we just heal through it, and then just LOL mechanics. So this was able in Selly Gear to easily heal through Bone Skinner unless someone stood in a puddle and then just instantly died. And that was really where I was missing some of the old stuff. This is an extremely viable healer. It has great healing. It has great barrier still. It has great boons. The revive potential is now lower than it was. What do you have for revives now? You have Signet of Undeath if you bring it, which is a battery and constantly gives you death juice, and also allows you to, save someone at a long range. You can just, cast that on them to save them. And while we don't have the transfusion pull and stuff like that, we do still have one very powerful thing, which is Last Rites. Last Rites is not to be underestimated. If there's anyone near you that is downstate and you're not downstate, they don't bleed out. That is insane. If you just imagine their health's going down and imagine you're countering that and just think of that as healing per second, that is a lot of HPS that is just passively being emitted from you to downstate teammates, giving you more time to get them up and making it much easier to get them up. So Last Rites is still an extremely powerful thing that Heal Scourge has. However, at this point, I feel like they need to rename Transfusion, because you're not transfusing anything. Like, rename it Shiny Stick, because it upgrades the stick. That's what it does now. But yeah, there's definitely a few ways that you could play this. For example, I was using Staff, plus I was using Pistol and Torch. That pistol could easily be a sword, a dagger, a pistol, or a staff. Like, any one-hander could go there. And they all have different advantages and disadvantages. For example, the pistol was the only one that doesn't have Boon Corrupt on it. If I needed more Boon Corrupt, I would take literally any other one-hander than the pistol. But I ended up bringing the pistol just because it was easy DPS that I could, keep some damage on the boss while I was running around and doing literally anything else. I had no problems with the death juice with this setup. I was able to hit these buttons every single time they lit up. And that brings me to my next point. This class is extremely button mashy. It is very good. It is very powerful. It is also very, you're hitting these and you're hitting these and you're hitting these constantly. And like this has a 4-second cooldown. This has a 4-second cooldown. So if you have carpal tunnel, I don't recommend this. It is very good. I don't recommend it if you have carpal tunnel, but if you like mashing buttons, by God, there's a lot of buttons to mash. This is the berserker of the cloth class as far as button mashing goes. Muck still can't get over the skill renaming from the patch notes. Dude, it's stupid. Some of them are really done. Like, Transfusion made sense when you were sending blood from you out to other people. Now it just doesn't make sense. It's anyway. That's just a personal take. Obviously, that doesn't affect game mechanics. That's just a personal thing. So how do I feel about this? So this has way more access to stability than it did before. 3 stacks, and they're not even like 3 seconds of stability. It's 6 seconds of stability with full concentration gear. I think it's like 8 seconds of stab on an 18-second cooldown. That is bonkers. If you've ever played any other supports, you'll be like, wow, that's a lot. Unless you play Firebrand. They're OP. They're not a good example. So the huge access to stability. Anytime my group needed stability and I had the staff in hand, I used Staff 5 because that has a shorter cooldown than Trail of Anguish. So when I was in the other weapon set and then they needed stab, then I would use Trail of Anguish. Desiccate just on cooldown, Well of Blood. With this setup, I used Well of Blood on cooldown to keep swiftness on the party with the Relic of Phoebe. I used the, half the staff skills on cooldown, half as needed, and then just all of these. On another note, CC. Not all supports have the same access to CC. This felt pretty good because with this setup, there is no elite that you have to take as the support. So I chose to take Summon Flesh Golem. And anytime we needed a CC, both my weapons had a big CC with Torch 5, Pistol 3, and Staff 5. And then also Flesh Golem. So I had at least 2 big CC buttons anytime there was a blue bar. And that felt good. It's not the same as some other classes where, fitting CC into the kit feels a little awkward. This one, it feels like, okay, I'm always going to have some CC. Or, Boon Corrupt. You can have Boon Corrupt in there as well. And yeah, it's just a matter of what skills you're going to bring. So like I said, we've got almost like a few different puzzle pieces and you got to figure out how you want to put them together. Like, okay, where do you want to get swiftness from? Do you want to get it from Warhorn, or do you want to get it from Relic of Phoebe, or somewhere else that I haven't considered? If you get it from Warhorn, okay, you lost Torch. Now you need more might generation. So you've got Desiccate on the bar, you've got some from Barrier Spam, and you'll get some from your party. That might be enough. Okay, what if you're in a fight where you want to bring Serpent Siphon? What are you going to replace? Are you going to give up this on-demand stability? Are you going to give up your ability to save someone's life, and also it's a battery for the death juice? Or are you going to give up Fury? If you give this up, someone else has to bring the Fury. Like this is the source of Fury for this class pretty much, unless you find another, like maybe Relic of the Mad King or something like that. Trail gives swiftness. If you bring, okay, first of all, it's 10 seconds of swiftness with a 25-second cooldown. Second of all, if you bring the Trail just for swiftness, like that feels kind of wasteful. Like the Trail is a stun break and also a Boon Corrupt and also damage and also group stability. Bringing it for less than half uptime on swiftness is kind of wasteful. IMO. But yeah, so you got to figure out like, okay, I'm bringing the staff. What other weapon set offhand am I bringing? The Torch for might or the Warhorn for swiftness. The Torch and Warhorn both bring a CC. That's awesome. But whatever one you're not bringing, you got to find the puzzle pieces to bring those things from somewhere else. And the big things are either from your relic or from your utility slots, and then figure out how to get it all together in the best way possible. It is extremely viable. It is still extreme, it is still very good. I am very rusty. I haven't really played my NECRO much in the last, couple of years, other than like just, sampling it when a new patch comes out, and was able to, blast through the strike missions. It has more than enough healing output. It can keep the boons up, and it can even do some damage to boot, because the stat requirements to keep the boons up are low enough that you could easily run like full Selly gear, which also has almost 30,000 hit points. So that's awesome too. And, barrier is always great. So yeah, very solid, not as good. It's got good revive potential. There are some supports that have none. Okay, Mechanist, I'm looking at you right now. Okay, Herald, I think, like, there's a few supports that have no revive potential at all, other than walk up, press F button. And at that point, you're pressing the F to pay respects, okay? But these guys, you do still have last rites, which is very strong. And then if you bring it, you've got Signet of Undeath. Oh yeah, Chrono, yeah, there's the False Life, but that's yeah, so this does still have revive potential that is not bottom of the barrel, but my god, it is not the monster it once was. I would say I think Druid is the king of revives now, with Glyph of the Stars and Allies Aid and Search and Rescue all on separate cooldowns, and they're all under 60 seconds, and one of them can res the entire raid. So those are quite ample, but this one does have the niche thing, sorry, with last rite. So at this point, I think I'm talking in circles. I think I've covered it. Good CC, good everything, worse at revives than it was. The staff quality of life, being able to do this and have it dependably give you those boons and not having to find some squirrel or something to bounce the mark off of, feels really good. Not sure if you'll like it or not, but hopefully after watching this, you can be like, oh yeah, maybe I'd like to try that. Or, what have they done? Look how they massacred my boy. Whatever works for you. Okay, that's it. I'm off to try the next one.